If you take on the alt-right, you will lose. And you'll look pretty fucking stupid at the end of it. And here's why. We in the alt-right ceased caring about social acceptability some time ago. And we are, as a result of that, sometimes quite brash and mindlessly offensive, sure, but also we are looking for the truth. We are courageous. And we are speaking the truth. By contrast, you in the skeptic community, quite frankly, are a bunch of lying, ignorant, cowardly, beta weaklings. We are ready for you. Believe me.
Hello. How's everyone today? Sorry, I'm late.
Good. Yeah, man. So you want to give yourself an introduction and what you feel like your political views are, and just
Okay. Well, I would just call myself an English liberal. I'm for Enlightenment individualistic liberalism, which I realize that in America that's a contentious term, liberalism, but in Europe it actually still means liberalism rather than progressivism and sort of far left collectivism.
This is so autistic. Why don't you answer the question I asked you?
Answer my question.
Well, I asked you a question, you haven't answered it.
Okay,
obviously, the United
let's get
Kingdom
into
is
we
a
with Kangs, white
that has
people
power
edition.
over you.
If you want to come out aggressive, we can do that. But I was just happy to have a nice, normal conversation. So the state is the political entity under which we are governed. Individual people are governed. The purpose of the state, in say Britain, as conceived of by Locke, is the protection of the rights of the individual.
As conceived of by Locke, that state was not invented by Locke. That state has a history far greater than Locke. It's ridiculous. Locke wrote this, therefore it's true.
Okay.
This is exactly what I'm saying. You're living in an autistic, dissociated reality where you ask moral questions like, shall a group have a right over an individual? Oh, isn't this so sweet? You want to play these liberal games of like, well, Locke said the government was this. Well, Jefferson said that a government was created to protect
I'm sorry, actually
that is irrelevant. That is totally irrelevant. To lived reality. What John Locke wrote is irrelevant to lived reality.
Let's hear Andy, because this is very
listen,
interesting.
I want Sargon a fair chance to respond, because yeah,
I would, but someone was busy bloviating, so I think. I mean, am I allowed to go now, Richard? Is that okay with you?
Yes. Please go.
I'm obviously quiet.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay,
but wait a second. No, just
tell me about the lived reality of being a white person. I'm really curious about your conception of white identitarianism.
We can get to that, but do you want to respond to what I just said?
Well, honestly, Richard, I kind of tuned out halfway because you were just going and going and going after conceding.
That's your problem, Sargon.
It is entirely my
attention
problem
to follow what I'm saying. Sargon is asking these autistic moral questions like, in my abstract realm, does a group have a right over an individual?
What you are proposing is a system that necessarily subordinates the individual to the wills of the group. And therefore, the individual's rights will always come second to what you have conceived of as group rights. You follow me?
What are we talking? Are you ever going to address what I just said?
What I'm saying.
I follow what you're saying. You're not addressing what I just put forward because you don't want to talk about that.
Here, but I'm asking you if you follow what I've just said there. Do you follow it? Yes or no?
I more or less follow this kind of cartoon version of what you think I believe. Yes.
A corporation does not have the legitimacy to violate an individual's rights because the corporation's rights do not supersede the rights of the individuals that make it up. Because if you don't agree with that, then what you're saying is it's okay for a group to violate the rights of other people, like the individual, for its own purposes.
You're not living in what state are you describing? Because you are not describing the United Kingdom. You're talking from a abstract liberal position, and I am pointing out how vacuous this ultimately is. You don't describe any state or organization that has ever existed. Has there ever been a purely voluntary political order? There's a core stock to the white race. And those are Celtic people, Latin people, German people, Anglo-Saxon people, Slavs, and so on. We know a white person when we see one. Now,
hang on. If
there
that's the case,
blurry
DNA
edges?
tests then? What's the point in getting DNA tests if you know white people when you see them? I'm genuinely curious.
I don't understand. You're saying, what's the point of a DNA test? I never actually even suggested that. This concept of a core white race, I don't think is a particularly contentious one.
You can't
Look, if you
one.
don't
the problem,
benefit from
Richard.
affirmative action, you're white. Let's just put it that way. Is that
so the Japanese are white and certain
guys, come on.
That is the dumbest categorization of what a white person is I have ever heard. It's entirely contextual. I mean,
and what about
you're not going to have affirmative action, are you? Because you're not going to have any non-white people. That's such a silly thing to say.
I won't even comment upon that. I'm
That's
just simply.
You've got nothing, Richard.
See, this is
Sargon. This is really tedious.
This is my problem with a lot of
basically
people online.
Hold on. I'm basically saying that the core of the white race is not really a matter of great debate. One can ask these prickly questions. Is
you
some
mean questions that are
southern
going to come up necessarily in the establishment of a white ethno-state? Go on.
Sure. They came up in the establishment of an Israeli state. Israel exists. It's a flourishing society. It has a national order. Sargon, I really find you to be a very tedious and annoying person.
I started with good intentions, Rich. Then you started acting like an ass.
Sargon, I am
not
going to say something that might be the most insulting thing we've ever heard.
I will accept your apology whenever you're ready to give it.
You think that you are more intelligent than you are. And that's actually a really tricky place to be.
How intelligent am I?
I don't think you're very intelligent.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Sargon.
Okay, as Styx pointed out earlier and Richard assented to, this is going to not only be a very messy process, but lead into purity spiraling, where whatever it is, whatever the group, the movement, the nation, will start self-consuming on the basis that power will be achieved through racial purity. And that just leads you down a road that you don't really want to go down because, as Styx points out correctly, it's going to end in blood.
It could be a problem, sure. A purity spiral, I don't think so.
You're already having these problems.
For your foreknowledge of history.
You're welcome.
The thing is, Sargon, there is a point.
You're already having these problems in the alt-right. That's the thing.
You're literally making this argument. People are purity spiraling on Twitter, therefore the ethno-state will inherently purity spiral into a bloodbath. That just simply does not follow. It does not follow, Sargon.
There's a lot of pedantry going on about what is white and all that. I think it's absolutely retarded. Everyone knows what is white.
If everyone knows, why can't you just tell me? Why don't you just tell me?
Okay, yeah. I'll ask you. Is Lawrence Fishburne white?
I don't know. Does he act white? He gets called white a lot.
No, he doesn't.
God, that's
yes, he
ridiculous.
Does. There are.
Just answer the question, Sargon. Is Lawrence Fishburne white?
Right? But you are the guys. You are the ones who are saying, right? Okay, you're genetically white, but you're also culturally white.
That's the ones that thing. It doesn't matter. I'm asking you to
contradictory at all.
I know it's
exactly.
not contradictory.
Sargon, is Lawrence Fishburne white? Is Lawrence Fishburne white?
Because what you're saying
is Lawrence Fishburne white?
Did you stop beating your wife yet? Because that's what you're doing. Listen, right?
It's not the equivalent question.
I have just.
You're not going to insult Lawrence Fishburne by answering that question. Is Samuel Jackson white? Is Samuel Jackson white?
I think this is a goal.
Oh, the answer is no, Sargon. The answer is no, Sargon. Thank you.
You have white people as a genetic distinct group, right? And then you have the culture that you envisage them producing.
So do you think that we think...
No, don't ask me questions. I'm still getting to this.
No, I'm going to ask you questions.
I'm representing your beliefs. Am I representing your beliefs accurately, yes or no?
Answer.
I'm not sure what you're saying. I'm not sure what you're saying. Do you think... Oh, God. Do you think, Sargon, that I think that
Don't
white
ask
people
me
you
a
don't
question.
behave white
Just
people.
answer my question.
No, I am going to ask you a question. You always do this, and it's not right.
Because
you
I'm trying
always
to
try
get to the bottom of what you
interrupt me and
actually
get me
believe,
to-
but you seem afraid of your own principles.
No, you're not. No, you're
Yes,
not.
yes,
no,
I
I'm
actually
not.
am.
I'm not in the
I
slightest bit.
absolutely am. Then you're going to end up getting people going, you're not being white enough. You're not acting white. You're or whatever the white equivalent of an Uncle Tom's going to be.
So then we should just race mix.
See, exactly. That is not what the the alternative to what I'm saying.
Because
That is absolutely not what I'm saying, Colin.
It actually is, and you've said several
it's
times that you
not.
wouldn't care if the white race disappeared. So I
now
think this is
now
clearly
you're
where
telling
you're
me how
getting
offended you
towards.
are. I hope the white race disappears
I'm not
tomorrow. Colin,
offended.
now. Have
I
you
think
read
that
Common
Lord,
Sense by Thomas
you
Paine?
think-
Have you read
Yes.
any of these things?
Yes.
And how can you sit there and say that that's not the case?
Because I don't buy into this fairy tale
So
of
denial.
Americanism, which you
Right.
unfortunately
Denial.
You say out of one side of your mouth that liberalism is all idealistic fantasy, while your position is a pragmatic. Then out of the other, when you start talking about your ethno-state, you talk purely about your ideals.
Okay, that's an interesting statement. This is how I would answer that. I don't think liberalism is a good way of understanding social order or sovereignty. That is the foundation of a state. And so when Sargon says, oh, this is what governments are about, he's basically saying, haven't you read Common Sense? Haven't you read John Locke? Because in this abstract world, that is what governments are about. I am saying that this is what governments are really about.
You have
There
an
is
abstract
no
world
doubt
as well.
force involved. There is no doubt rivalry and power relations involved, no question. Now, when I talk about the ethno-state, yes, it is inherently idealistic. It's not liberal,
Abstract.
but it is inherently idealistic in the sense of this is, there are ethno-states that exist today that could be protected, yes, but my conception of an ethno-state is something to shoot for. It is something that it should be a telos, a great goal that we channel our actions towards. So I agree it is interesting to think about pragmatism and idealism, but there's no fundamental contradiction in terms of what I'm saying.
What you're saying is no different to what I'm saying. You just disagree with the goal.
No, that's not what I just
Richard,
said
every
very
time you
clearly.
pause for
Do you
a
want me
long
to
time
reiterate
and say
myself,
no.
Sargon?
I think it's evident.
We have to say
everyone. You
things
just
like
don't
10
understand what I've
times
said.
for you to understand them.
No, Richard, it's obvious to everyone you don't understand what I'm saying. It's really obvious.
No, it
Your
isn't.
long pauses.
Sargon.
It's not.
Just come
Sargon,
on, man.
it's
Stop
not.
trying to be a dick.
Sargon, I am
Really
sorry.
engage with what
You're
was
going to
being-
find this insulting. You think that you are more intelligent than you are, and that is
I'm
a
a
difficult
mind
place
reader
for you
now.
to be.
God,
No, I'm describing reality. I'm describing this
What color am I
experience
thinking?
with you.
You're telling me what I think. So what color? Come on.
Oh, give me a break.
Sargon.
Are you that?
No, don't give you. You just told me what I think. I don't know. What
I
you
didn't
think.
tell you what you
But I'm
think.
not
I
interested.
said you have a conception of your intellectual abilities that are greater than reality, and that is a difficult place for
literally
any
do
human being
not
to
So
be.
know
this
anything
That is
is
my
this is
description
not
of you, Sargon, and I am sorry,
You
but I
are
have to be
wrong
honest to
on
you, and
all
you
of
should actually
these
thank
things,
me for
and
being
you're
so honest.
demonstrably wrong. And I can't believe you claim to have read Thomas Paine and not understand that. That blows my mind.
How could I have read Thomas Paine and not be you? Is that
and
that's what you
not,
literally
not
just said?
understand the problem with what you're suggesting? Because I mean, you've got this fantasy in your mind that you're going to be in the aristocracy, but what if you're not? What if you're actually a serf on a farm somewhere and you're being forced to work by someone else? They could be whiter than white. What if that happens? You can be like, well, you know what? I did ask for this, and you're just going to plow that field, are you?
I'm not going to choose serfdom for anyone. We don't live in such a society.
What do you guys do? Let's say you get your ethno-state. What do you do when, like, the international Jewry start propagandizing white people using the internet? They start, like, putting stuff out on the internet and targeting white people to become total degenerates in whatever way is.
You're engaging in these just meaningless hypotheticals.
Sargon, did you just say that this happens? This
but-
very thing happens all the time, Sargon. Like Jewish people trying to subvert the West.
No, as in authoritarian governments shutting down outside access to their internet.
Do you really think that the U.S. government would have allowed CBS News to be broadcasting Marxist propaganda during the 1960s? Give me a break.
Right. Millennial chat from a month ago, the one that's barred in most of Europe now. You agreed that East Asians were going to outcompete whites, us, at higher ends of our society, and Ashkenazi Jews. And you agreed that blacks and Hispanics and Muslims are going to outnumber us in our societies.
If we leave
And
borders open.
I asked you, no, even on current trends, they're going to do that. So I would ask you, why don't you care about the fate of the whites, us?
I don't care about the fate of the blacks either, if that helps.
It doesn't matter. They're still going to outnumber us.
I don't care about the fate of any group. I care about the fate of the people I know.
Right, so you agree that you accept this premise.
The fate of the people I know.
It's survival that I'm proposing. You are surviving. What you're proposing is that
Sargon,
I need to start engaging in tyrannical.
I care.
Jumping. I mean, literally, the first thing
that was a load of
shut the borders,
rubbish.
Shut the internet.
No,
shut this.
No,
we're going to have an aristocratic, kingly society, but don't worry, it won't be tyranny. Don't make me laugh.
Sargon, you are hysterical. I'm not tyrannical, and I don't jump straight. No, I don't jump. Shut up.
No. Okay, shut up. Isn't it? I guess we'll be back in 5, but it's 2 o'clock in the morning here, so I guess, I don't know, like another half hour or something.
Richard's mic, whenever the two of you would yell at each other, his mic seemed to take priority, so you would get drowned out more than him. But at the same time, often he was so ridiculous that actually helped you. being able to actually clearly hear Richard Spencer fully articulate an idea is basically the best way to disprove Richard Spencer.
I found it really hilarious when he was just going on about. I mean, like the towards the end where it was so, yes, I would just censor people. You know, you'd censor an entire nation because someone outside of the nation was trying to talk to them. That's insane to me.
No, that's what China does. You know,
I know.
The Great Firewall of China.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, like, everything he's proposing is against the concept of freedom as we understand it. I mean, he actually advocated for a formal aristocracy, and some people are naturally inclined to be kings. It's like, okay, would you be a serf in your own system? No, of course I wouldn't. Well, then, but you'd advocate it for someone else. And, like, there are loads of things that JF said that I was just like, wow. I mean, when he first introduced himself to me, he said he was a libertarian. And he was
an ANCAP, I think. Yeah,
he did not sound like a libertarian to me. You know, I was just like advocating for a huge amount of collectivism, frankly.
After the stream was over, like after you had left during the post show, it was just Andy and him, and he basically said that bringing up that Richard Spencer basically wanted feudalism and wanted an aristocracy was a straw man.
Those were his words. Like I can go back to the stream and you know like. They take the exact words where he said. I mean, I'm sorry if we trapped Richard Spencer in admitting he wants an aristocracy.
Spencer went to war with you, Sargon, pretty quickly.
He did, didn't he?
Out of the gate. He did, yeah.
He did seem threatened, didn't he?
I agree with you. I don't think people have enough reverence for how it's like society is held together. I mean, the human species. So I mean,
the same reason I'm scared of the far left is why I'm scared of far right. Before I even knew what the alt-right is, I was presented with the horseshoe theory by a historian. Like I need to go on Google and find out, you know, who said it first and, you know, when it was coined. But then I saw it with my own eyes. Like I see the social justice warriors acting the same like the alt-right. And it's not the policy, right? Because the policy is different. And this is why people go, oh, we're different.
Yeah, that's it.
The principle is the same. It's like, okay, violence is politics. Like beating people up to impose your political will is acceptable. Censorship is acceptable. Protecting, you know, the collective, like protecting blacks or protecting whites is okay, even if like at the detriment of individuals' rights. Censoring art is okay.
He says politics is violence. It's like, yeah, that's why we give the monopoly on violence to the state. I mean, like when he was like, you know, what happens if a Muslim comes and stabs you? And it's like, well, that'll be in spite of the laws, not because of them. But anyway, so yeah, interested to see how people felt about it because I feel really great about it. I had a really good time, and as far as I'm concerned, like
I like listening to it.
Richard just seemed totally against the concept of freedom. So anyway, take it easy, everyone. I had not been considering the people who may feel like they rely on me, and that I am not just a content creator, but a representative of something larger than myself, and should have been mindful of that at the time. And by all accounts, this is probably true. I am certainly being treated as the figurehead of something, even if nobody can define it and our enemies would describe it as
skeptic community.
I've never liked this label, firstly because it represents only a reaction to something else, and secondly because it means we are allowing our enemies to define us. However, having a large group of independent-minded individualists agree on a label that will encompass a specific set of core beliefs is difficult. Frankly, I don't know what to choose. I'm not worried about how the enemies of liberalism will view it, or what they'll try to do with it, but I am concerned that we have been resting on our laurels for far too long, and we need to start organising. The iron law of activism is that while you do nothing, nothing will change. If we want to see a future in which people are not oppressed because of their race, gender, sexuality, or lack thereof, then we cannot wait passively as the forces of social justice advance and enround us. And I shall create a modest organisation around which we can focus our efforts. I did not take the situation seriously, and I allowed a foolish blunder to take place, but this will not happen again, you have my word. To identify ourselves, I recommend we choose a label and stick with it. If someone who promotes feminism is a feminist, and someone who promotes socialism is a socialist, and someone who promotes Islamism is an Islamist, and someone who promotes fascism is a fascist, then someone who promotes liberalism must be a liberalist. See? Honestly, when someone who understands political philosophy explains to you why, like, being shocked that a group of individualists can form a group, you're going to feel really dumb. I'm not even joking, man.
Oh my God, do I need to read more? Do I need to read some more Locke to get up on your level? And what people are you disagreeing with? Because you talked about your enemies in that video. So who are your enemies?
The SJWs and the alt-right. Any
okay, wait, no. So the alt-right is your enemy?
Yeah. Have you not looked at the way they treat me?
Did they not treat you kindly? You said you're going to counter SJWs, but the alt-right is also your enemy. So what are you going to do to counter them?
Nothing. They're irrelevant.
So if they're irrelevant, why are they counted amongst your enemies?
Because they're people who oppose me.
No, but you said, I said you define them as our enemies.
I know what you're trying to do. I know that you think this is like, you think that I'm
asking you really simple questions. You said our enemies, and you listed them as SJWs and alt-right. And then when I said, what are you going to do to counter them? You're like, well, they're mean to me. It seems to be specific to you.
I didn't say that they were mean to me after you said, what are you going to do to counter them? What I'm going to do to counter them is just advocate like they do.
But Sargon, honestly, and I don't know if anybody else is going to tell you this, so I'm just going to tell you this honestly.
I know what you're going to say. It's cringy. I know.
No, I just think you're getting a little high off your own ego.
Yeah,
and some of the comments
I would agree with you if like everyone wasn't calling me the leader of something, and I was like, I'm not the leader of something. And everyone's like, yeah, you are the leader of something, and now we're going to act like you're the leader of something. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just be the leader of something. And everyone's like, oh, you can't do that. That's up your own ass. I'm just doing what people are telling me that I am, and that's fine. I'd rather not do any of this.
You're all individuals. Yes, we're all individuals. You're all different. Yes, we are all different.
Sargon, I'm saying, why are you letting a group dictate to you what you're doing?
Because I'm not like a Randian objectivist. I'm not an anarchist.
Sargon, you're telling me you don't want to do it. Why are you letting them pressure you into doing it?
Because it needs to be done, Jim. That's fucking why, mate. Do you know in my country they are teaching 4-year-olds about being transgender or not?
I don't know. It's just the timing of this strikes me as odd, man. I mean, you had the stream with Spencer, and he made fun of you for not being as smart as you think you are. And it's just weird. It almost seems like they're saying you're too dumb to do this, and like you're doing it just to prove them wrong.
Maybe I should just do nothing.
Well, like I said, Sargon, I'm giving you an honest assessment. I think you're getting way too high off your own ego. I honestly do, based on your comments and some of your actions. I'm just telling you that. You can take it or leave it. That's up to you.
No, but like
I'm fine.
And I think this is cringy as fuck. And I think that if you perpetuate this for like 6 months to 8 months, the amount of shit you got in the past is going to pale compared to what you're going to get in the future.
I don't know about half of the stuff you're talking about. So, like, you know, the whatever it is you're passing around about me, but like, do you not think that
Passing
that's
around
weird?
about you?
Yeah, whatever. You know, I don't care. Like, you know, you guys say whatever you want. I don't mind. Like, you know.
Well, if you don't know what I'm doing, then how would you know I'm passing around stuff about you?
Because you just brought it up.
So I'm Murdoch now, and I'm Richard Spencer.
Have you not like retweeted something of his?
Well, you wouldn't know, would you?
Maybe someone might have sent me something.
Oh, so people are sending you information about what I do?
Only once.
Oh, just the once.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was that information you got sent that I was doing?
This video of the baby thing, which is, I'm sure, completely reflective of what it is, I believe.
Wait a minute, dude. I just said that you put that video up because of the Murdoch thing, and somebody sent it to you, and then you put the video up? So I called that.
Sorry, say again.
I said that, you know, the Richard Spencer saying you were dumber than you think you are, and Murdoch putting the Akira baby video out got to you. And now you're telling me somebody sent you the information that I tweeted that. And then after you get that information, you put the video up. So I was right.
No, you weren't. This is just like, apparently I haven't watched your last video about Crowd, but apparently you were clipping that in a weird way as well. Jim, honestly, it's really weird watching you desperately try to make something of this, but it's actually not.
What did I desperately try to make out of Crowd, Sargon? What did I desperately try to make out of Crowd?
Think there's a narrative here. I didn't know about any of this. I've been spending...
Sargon, you're like, I don't know what you do, Jim, and then you say, well, people are sending me information about you, so stop fucking lying. What did I twist about Crowd?
That doesn't give me a comprehensive understanding of the things you're doing. I don't spend very much amount of time...
I don't know what you're doing, Sargon, but people are sending me information about what you're doing. Don't try that pill-pull shit on me, man.
Bitch, that is not fucking what you're doing.
I'm being honest with you. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't know what Jim's up to, but people send me information about Jim. Come on, don't lie so badly. Jesus, step it up. Sargon.
Are you even trying? Are you even trying? Jim,
am I trying what? You're fucking up left and right. What the fuck are you talking about, Sargon?
Think about what you're saying.
I don't know what you're doing, Jim, but people are sending me information about what you're doing just the once. Sure, buddy. Sure.
What is the importance of what you're saying right now?
Because you fucking lied, Sargon. Because you lied.
It's so asinine, Jim.
Well, then why would you lie about something so petty, Sargon? Wait, it makes no sense.
That's the thing, Jim. You've made this narrative up, and now you're certain you're right. And I'm just saying, you're not right, man. I was working on the video all day, but you've now made it up in your head that you're completely correct, and I must be a liar instead of you being wrong.
Sargon, you just told me you don't know what I tweet, and then you told me people send you information, so you do know what I tweet.
Referred to a massive body of work, Jim. A large amount of stuff that's going around.
What the fuck are you talking about, a massive body of work? My tweets are what people send you, Sargon. Which is it?
Why is this a point of contention?
Because you lied, Sargon.
I didn't lie. I'm just explaining.
Yes, you did. I don't know what you're doing, Jim, but people are sending me information about what you're doing. Seems like a lie to me.
Yeah, a tweet, Jim.
Okay, then why would you lie about it?
You think that gives me a comprehensive knowledge of your Twitter history?
All I know, dude, is the timing. You got that. You saw the
brilliant timing, man. Brilliant timing.
And then you put the video
it could be exactly as you say, or it could be how I say, which is I was making the video in the time frame you're thinking of. I don't know, man. I'm sorry that you're not correct on this.
Oh God! Why do you do that insufferable chuckle shit when you think you're right about something? It's so fucking annoying. It's so played out. You did it with Spencer too, and it was just cringy as fuck.
Like, I understand it's lame to have to do something, to organize something, to stamp something, but if you're not going to do it, Jim, someone's going to fucking have to.
Okay, so the mantle of leadership was thrust upon you, but you'll take it up.
No, it was thrust upon you pussy, and you shut your channel down.
Yeah, I left Gamergate because it turned into a fucking hug box of pussies that were money-grubbing fucks that were using it to bank money. Yeah, so that's why I left.
Done something about it, shouldn't you?
Well, the whole point during Gamergate was there was no leader, Sargon. Holy shit, you were so up your own ass. But you're the brave man, right, Sargon?
That's the inverse. Up my own ass? This is
that's the inverse of what you're saying, is it not, Sargon? That if I'm the coward for not doing anything, you're the brave man for doing something.
No, it's...
So you guys are going to go out and change the world.
We try. It will be an attempt, yeah. I don't know whether we're going to I don't know whether we're going to be successful, but we're going to have to try and change something.
Oh man,
the SJWs did it, man. They changed the world. Yeah.
You don't think that you actually uttered the phrase "a group of independent-minded individualists coming together with an enemy list and a set amount of goals"? You want to, you want to organize as a political group. I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that wouldn't be collectivism.
No, collectivism is the principle of putting the value of the group above the individual.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, could I call myself a liberalist once you've established this and go around telling people that as an official liberalist, our party policy is gassing kikes?
No, obviously not.
So I'd have to yield to the group's will.
No, you would just be using the term incorrectly. It's like saying I'm a fascist, but I don't want the government.
A large group of individuals that's not a collective, that's going to come together with a goal list and a political party ideology.
It is a group. Okay. Jesus Christ.
I said a group of individuals. That's not a collective.
No, every group is made up of individuals. Not every group is made up of individualists.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying, Sargon.
No,
No, I don't. I'm literally saying...
Okay, Sargon, you're going to create a group of individualists, okay,
yes.
That's not a collective, yet has, so it is a collective?
Why don't you define collective for us? Because maybe we've got a different definition to you.
Well, you're talking about two different things, right? So a collectivist would be somebody that adheres to the group will, or the group will overrides their individual rights. So my individual right as an individualist would be, what, free speech, free association? Yes. So I could go out and say I'm a liberalist and we want to gas the kikes. And you, as another liberalist, couldn't say I'm wrong because you would be using the group.
That would definitely be going against the principles of liberalism. Yeah.
How much?
Well, no, I mean, I genuinely think if he doesn't want to do this, if he's being honest and he really doesn't want to do it, it's going to end badly. If you're not into it, if you don't have your heart 100%,
I'm committed. I'm absolutely committed.
Yeah, but if you're forced into it, it'd be awful. It'd be like making content that you don't want to make. It'd be like making a video you didn't want to make. You know how tough that can be. So you're planning on counter protesting. You're going to go to their events.
Sometimes. I'm definitely going to host my own, though. And if they want to come to mine, they're more than welcome to come to mine.
Dude, all right. Well, you know what? Good luck to you. I still think it's a monumental mistake. I think it's going to end badly. It's cringy as shit. And dude, I think you're getting a little too high off your own ego. I'm telling you that. I'm telling you that straight up.
What's wrong, guys? What's wrong? You a bit nervous?